Show this as a token action. But I copied it. Conditions, okay. Once I save the changes here, there's my conditions. In order to show up properly, it needs to be in that format, exactly the way I pasted it in there. And what's going to happen is when I open it up again, it's automatically going to change, and it's not going to work. So I'll show you what that's like. Okay, we're going to change it so it's in the bar, and I usually make my conditions this like pinkish color here. Stands out real quick, easy to find. Conditions. Zoom in. See, here's my bar. There's that remove conditions button. There's my conditions button. Nice and pink. I'm going to click conditions. And now you can see in the chat, we've got a list of conditions. These little buttons here. Groovy. My Halfling Rogue is still marked. You know, he's selected, is what I mean to say. Selected my Halfling Rogue. So let's say someone threw a flashbang at him. I mean, this is D&D, not likely to happen, but someone throws a flashbang at him. And so now he's going to be blinded and deafened. I'm just like, Halfling, roll a saving throw, and he fails it. So I'm like, okay, he's blinded and deafened. I'm going to click both these buttons. Halfling Rogue is blinded. It tells you what happens when you're blinded. Halfling Rogue is deafened. It tells you what happens when you're deafened. Fucking awesome. Right? We look at the Halfling Rogue again. He's got the bleeding eye, and he's got this thing that I selected. I mean, I chose what I was going to have each one mean. Other people might want to choose something different, and if you've got the API script for token mod, and you want to do that, you can absolutely do that, and you can make it whatever you want. You can make the bleeding eye for deafened. Why would you do that? I don't know. You could, in theory. All right, so this is what happened to our Halfling Rogue. He's blind. He's deaf. I really want to get in closer. I'm not going to worry about it. All right. So, he's blind and deaf. When that goes away, I'm going to click Remove Conditions on the poor dude. Oh, he's not selected. I'm going to remove his conditions. There we go. His conditions are removed. He is no longer blind or deaf. He can see, he can hear. Good boy. And these buttons still work even though it's not at the top of the, I can then charm him if I want. He's charmed. Remove conditions. You don't need token mod to do this. You can set up the macros to do this just to spit the text out in the chat, letting you know what the conditions are. So you don't even need to have a pro account for the API scripts. I did it because I have a pro account so that I could use API scripts. You don't have to. You can do all of this. At selected token name is blinded. That's what, selects the token name, obviously. Template and stuff. What it says, it's all right there. This token mod line is the one that uses the token mod API script. Don't have to have that. You can still set up without having the API script, you can still set this up so that you can at least get your conditions in the chat so that you don't need to look in the book and see what a condition is. You don't need to type into the compendium to pull up a list of conditions. You can just click a button, the condition shows up in chat, everybody's happy because the game moves on a little faster. Okay. I'm going to close that. Now, I'm going to show you what happens if you open up the conditions again after you've already set it up. Like I told you, it breaks. Oh, I see. Now, if you see here, it looks different than when I first put it in. It automatically does these line breaks because it sucks. it's broken my thing. So if we click test macro and we go to look at the macro again in the chat, see, it doesn't. My buttons are gone. Boo! Doesn't work. Like I said, I copied and pasted it, and I keep it in a file on my desktop so that if I need to open it to make a change or something, I can easily do that. I mean, you could go in and do this. You could just backspace and just make it a whole long thing again. But it's just a lot easier to copy and paste. And you'll see that remove conditions shows up in that menu as well. Yeah, it's right there. So not only is it down here in my bar, it's also in the little menu thing. All right, while we're here, so I don't need to open it up again, I'm just going to add the Y's to everything else. So I don't need to add it to where the button. Just after this little hashtag here, I'm just going to put Y dash, and I'm going to copy that. I see it, and it comes up. I can just choose things like Y condition dying. Come on, go away. Frightened. Let's paste that in there. Wow, it just happened. Go away. I don't like that. There we go. Grappled. Incapacitated. Invisible. I wish it would stop doing that. It's letting me select things, you know, based on whatever. Just in my way. Just paralyzed. Condition petrified. Condition restrained. Condition poisoned. That thing was in my way, so condition poisoned. Oh, whoops. Let's move that. Oh, it won't let me. All right. Right there. Boom. Condition restrained. Condition stunned. Are you bored yet? Condition unconscious. Remove conditions, doesn't need that Y. Alright, so let's make sure we got them all. Alright. Y, blinded, charmed, deafened, dying, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, invisible, paralyzed, also screwed up on Y dash. Petrified, yeah, Y dash petrified, Y dash condition poisoned, restrained, stunned, unconscious, remove conditions. Okay. So let's test our macro again, make sure we got our buttons. Bloop. There's our buttons. We're going to save changes. Now most of these buttons aren't going to work right this minute because, you know, I don't have the other macros set up. That's what I was in the process of doing when I decided to do this. Again, we're starting them with Y so that they're at the bottom of the list. And they're not in my way for the macros that I might want to use more often or find more easily. All right, so we're going to add a macro. We click that little Add Macro button. And I'm going to go to the other game where I'm copying these things. What's my next one after dying? Condition dying, condition frightened. So I'm copying condition frightened here. pasting that in there. Y space condition frightened. You can hit space in the name and it's automatically going to put those hyphens for you, but only where it says name. You can either type them in or you can just hit space and it's going to add them. Save changes. We have condition frightened. Condition grappled. Add a macro. Y condition grappled. The longer I talk to myself, the easier it gets. So that's interesting. Because I wasn't sure if I would even talk to myself a lot. I was like, I might just be doing stuff. People might be looking. I might not even talk. That's not what I want to do. That would even be more boring if you were just watching me do this and I wasn't talking about it. What is this? Incapacitated. So, Y condition incapacitated. Invisible. Invisible is a condition. Condition invisible. Next is condition paralyzed. Now, yeah, this is like an excellent example of what I mean by, like, you might want to select a different status marker if you're using those. You know, I have archery target selected for the paralyzed condition. Why? Because if you're paralyzed, you know, you're a target. You might want to use something different. Up to you. Like I said, you don't even need to use the status markers if you don't want to. I think they really help. They make things a lot better for me as a DM. I think they make things easier for the players as well. When they see the condition marker on them, you know, they'll remember that they're blinded, especially if, like, you have a long time between, you know, turns. You might forget something simple like that. It happens. Or you might forget who is affected by a thing. Because, you know, I also use these on the NPCs. It's like, you know, which kobolds were blinded. I can see because they have bleeding eyes. Right, save paralyzed. We're going to add now petrified. So hopefully you're enjoying this, or you're at least getting something from it, and I'm not just feeding my own ego by doing this. Not that there's anything wrong with that. You should feed your ego every once in a while. You know, I'm very proud of my condition macros. So, condition poisoned. We're almost done with these conditions, and then I'll show you some other stuff here. Condition restrained. Condition stunned. I should put on background music or something so when I'm not talking, you can listen to the music I listen to. Our last condition is condition unconscious, but we will be adding one other thing in a moment. It's my other favorite macro that I use. This is a condition unconscious. Okay, have all my regular conditions set. Now I have another macro that I use. I'm not going to add a Y to it, and it's not in my conditions list. It's going to be in my bar, and it's called dead. We're going to paste this in here. Dead. We're going to save the changes, and we're going to add dead to my bar. And we're going to color it black. Because, you know, dead. Okay. So I've set up my conditions. I've got them all in there. They're all now connected to these buttons that are in the chat. So that's cool, right? Okay. I'm going to pop my chat out for the example here. We're going to zoom in on this halfling. I said we're going to zoom in on the halfling. There we go. I really wanted to zoom in more. I'm able to zoom in better in the corners. Let's pick someone else. Let's see if I can zoom in better on someone else. I really want to get bigger. You know, when I go down to the corner here, it gets much bigger. Okay. Well, let's do this then. Okay, so there's my halfling. And I've popped out. We're really beating up on this poor halfling, right? Okay, and I've popped out my chat so that I can easily access these buttons. Okay, I've got blinded. The bleeding eye, and it shows up in the chat what blinded does. Let's remove conditions. Charmed. I've got this little heart. That's what I'm using as a status marker. I use this little heart for that because, you know, heart. You're charmed. Remove conditions. Deafened. It's this guy, he's like holding his head like, I can't hear. That's the one I chose. Good for me. Dying. A little skull here. Now my dying condition, it says condition dying. You are dying. You suffer from the unconscious condition and need to start making death saving throws. And I explained death saving throws in the little chat thing. Let's connect the chat back. I can show you that. Scroll over. On your next turns, you must roll d20. 20, regain 1 hit point, 10 to 19 success, 2 to 9 failure, 1 is 2 failures. Taking damage gives you a failure. A critical hit gives you 2 failures. 3 successes means you're stabilized. 3 failures means you are dead. Double exclamation points. The gods be with you. Okay. So that's what it looks like when I click that dying. So people know they're dying, and we got all the fucking rules. Pardon my French. But we've got all the fucking rules you need to know when your character is dying. So let me pop my chat back out. Let me hit my conditions button again. Let's pop the chat back out. Let's zoom back in on this halfling. Let's zoom back in on this halfling. There we go. Get my chat menu. Come on. Get my chat menu back. Remove conditions. Frightened. I use his boot. He is running away. Get it? Grappled. I used a lock. Because, you know, someone might have you in a headlock when they grapple you. Incapacitated. Oh, look at that. It's broken. Oh, I didn't fix that one. See, I gotta fix that now. Son of a bitch. I should have copied that again after I added all those Y's, and I didn't. Okay, let's move on. So incapacitated uses a thing. I don't remember what it uses off the top of my head. Yeah, whatever. Let's make them invisible. Little wavy lines. Toodaloo, toodaloo. Wavy lines. Remove conditions. You know, and again, it tells you in the chat what the condition means, which is handy. It's a handy thing to have. Paralyzed. Like I said, I use that target because I'm funny. Petrified. I got this like body with this aura around it. You know, there's nothing else where you would definitely need an aura. I mean, I suppose I could have used it for invisible, but I didn't. I use it for petrified. Poisoned. A little evil potion looking bottle. It's only evil because it's like, you know, it's black. The black liquid. Restrained. I used a net. Stunned. I used a broken shield. I suppose if someone hit you hard enough it broke your shield, you'd be stunned, right? Unconscious. This little face here with his eyes half lidded. Awesome. Okay. Now here's the other cool thing I wanted to show you. I want to show you what happens when somebody dies in my games. Whether it's a hero or a villain, or let's move him closer. I want to keep him kind of biggish. We can close this. We can close that list there. Clear that list and close the. All right, let's not fucking worry about it. I guess. I want my dead button. Close that turn order settings. Close that turn order. There we go. Let's scroll down. Can I scroll down, please? Can I scroll down, please? I just want to show you what happens when somebody dies. All right, let's go back to a regular screen. Let's move the halfling closer to my dead button. And then yeah, that should be good. Okay. I'll see, yeah, it's just moving the screen there. It's not really. Okay, put that back down there. I know you're like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. There we go. Okay. All right, so we have my dead button here. See how highlights the little thing. All right, so let's say, man, this halfling, I'm like, yeah, he's dead. Dead button doesn't work. Hang on. All this build up, right? Oh, why isn't dead working? Oh, because I didn't have the table. That's the other thing I need to do. All right. Yeah, okay. My bad. So now we're going to go into another cool setting that we've got here in Roll20. I don't know if it's available in all levels. You know, again, I have Pro. I would like to think it's available everywhere so that you can move stuff from one game to another. The transmogrifier, which is an excellent name from Calvin and Hobbes. And I can choose a game. And these are all my fucking games. Choose a game, and I'm going to choose the game that I know I definitely have these in, which is in here somewhere. It's the Emberfall. There we go. It's in the Emberfall game. I'm going to scroll down to rollable tables. These are all the things that I have that I can move from one game to another. The little list on the left-hand side has everything that I can move from one game to another. This is dead rollable table. We're gonna move that to this game, And we're also going to move my Wild Surge, because I do that as well. Wild Magic Surge. They should now be here in the rollable tables, and that dead token will now work. It was looking for it, you know? It was looking for that table that didn't exist in the game. Okay. Okay. So here's our Halfling Rogue. We have him selected. Let's click the dead button. It's still not going to work. What's wrong here? Okay. Let's look at this again. Is my rollable table in here? It should be down here now. No, it didn't transmogrify. Why not? It's still looking for that table. Emberfall. Scroll down. Is dead. Drag to copy. Is dead. Let's make sure it's in here. Is dead. There it is. Okay. Once more. Let's try this. I'm just trying to zoom in. There we go. Okay. All right. Fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. Oh, he not only got the X through him so we know he's dead, and he got that skull and crossbones, but there's blood shooting at him. Yeah, I got some blood shooting out of him. Because, you know, it's funny. Now, the other thing, the rollable table, what the rollable table was looking for was a little message that the Halfling Rogue has shuffled off the mortal coil. What I did was I set up a rollable table, which I'll show you here. I set up a rollable table in Roll20 with these table items that I stole from Monty Python's Dead Parrot sketch. So it randomly chooses one of these. I'll show you that in the macro. It randomly chooses one of these items to say about whatever character is dead. Is no more. Halfling Rogue has shuffled off the mortal coil. He has ceased to be. He has expired and gone to meet his maker. Is a stiff, bereft of life. Rests in peace. His metabolic processes are now history. Kick the bucket. Has run down the curtain and joined the bleeding choir invisible. Like I said, it's a Monty Python Dead Parrot sketch thing. I'm an old person. So that's why it's really funny to me. I guess you don't need to be dead to be a Monty Python fan. It just helps. I mean, not dead. Oh my goodness. You don't need to be old to be a Monty Python fan. Okay, so here's the macro. And select a token name. This instruction here is telling it to choose something from the is dead rollable table. So that's when it says select a token name Halfling Rogue. Is whatever it just selected from the table. It sets the status marker for the skull. It selects the status marker for dead. And I use the FX bubbling blood because it's funny. And I don't know if that's available in everything too. But I don't know if it's available in all tiers of Roll20. But in this tier here, you've got this thing. You can click on it, and it gives you an FX menu, and you can select different beams, and let's do a holy burn. It's a holy burn. You know, you just click on the desktop and, you know, holy burn. Nova. Slime. A slime nova. Let's hit this human fighter with a slime nova. Ew. Look at that. You know, you mix and match these things. So what I did was basically I have it set so that when I click dead on somebody, it just automatically spits blood for however long I told it to do it. How long did I tell it to do it? bubbling blood. Oh, I guess maybe it just does it on its own. Like if you set it up like that, I don't know. I thought I had to do a setting, but oh, this halfling's dead. Let's we can also remove the conditions from him being dead. It'd help if we clicked on the select remove conditions. No longer dead. Dead again. What did it say this time? The halfling rogue is shuffled off the mortal coil. His halfling rogue's metabolic processes are now history. Yay! Alright, so those are some of my favorite macros that I use in Roll20. Like I said, I got to fix that incapacitated, whichever one was broken. I'm not going to... Well, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it. That Y minus needs to be in front of condition incapacitated. Like I said, you can also fix it by doing this if you don't have it copied and pasted. You can just go to each line and back up a space to fix it. Now I'm just like fucking it up even more, but only for a second. You having fun yet? Yeah, so when you see me actually play a D&D game and you're wondering how I do these things so quickly, it's because I'm using macros. Macros are great for all sorts of things. Let's save changes on that again. Let's remove conditions on the halfling rogue. Because before, if I said like the halfling rogue was blind, you know, all right, you're blinded. If I wanted to illustrate that, I had to click this button here. I had to find something in this list that would be good for blinded. There it is, bleeding eye. Okay, you're blinded. All right, man. You know, it's so much quicker to click two buttons. You know, and then if I want to take it away, you know, I have to go and unclick it. When somebody would die, you know, you have to click on the character again, and well, I mean, you have to click on them for the other thing. You could click that, and if you want to throw in a skull, it's 2 clicks right there. Pain in the ass. So it's a lot easier. Click 2 buttons really quick, and I throw conditions on people. Right? Okay. I want to show you some stuff with that torch macro I use. So we're gonna do some lighting. We're going to add another macro. We're going to call this one light torch. And light torch is going to be again, this you do need the API for this one. You need to have the API to do this one. The torch API sets this all in motion. All right, so we've got the macro here. M lights a torch with the command. This is emote lights a torch. So whatever character's clicking on, it's going to say in the chat that so-and-so lights a torch. The next thing down here is the command. to use the torch API. 40, 20, yes. The 40 is the how many feet that light goes out. 20 is where the dim starts, and yes means that other players can see the light. So this one we're going to show as a token action. I'll show you why in a second. We're going to make this visible to all players. And we're going to save the changes to this macro. We're going to close it. And let's go back to our Halfling Rogue here. Let's remove those conditions from him. Okay. So now our Halfling Rogue is, well, let's, I talked about this before too, the page settings. We're going to enable dynamic lighting on this page so I can show you what's up with that. We're going to enforce line of sight. We're going to leave global illumination off. So basically we're going to make this page dark to players. I'll still, as a DM, I'll still be able to see everything, but to players this is going to be dark. Close this little menu here, a page menu. Let's move the guy, the Halfling Rogue again. We're picking on him still. You know, and Halflings don't have dark vision anymore, 5th edition. I don't know what edition they lost it, but I'm pretty sure in at least earlier editions, I think they had, didn't they have dark vision or infravision as it was called, like at one point? Anyway, okay. Now, I set the light torch macro to as a token action. I made it visible to all players. Anyone can now see this up in this corner here. You won't be able to see it yet. Well, I'm going to show you when you can see it as soon as I get this shit working right. Zoom. Okay, there we go. Zoom in. So now anything you set as a token action, when you click on a token, it shows up next to the little menu on the left-hand side. For instance, we have this one here, Light Torch. So you select a token, you'll be able to click one of these buttons to do whatever macro it is you set up to do. I mean, you could set any macro you can set as a token action. It might not make sense to do so, but you could. So I set it up to light this dude's torch. I just lit his torch. You can't tell because we can see that whole screen the way it is at the moment. I'm going to show you how that looks better in a second. And here we've got Mondo GM lights a torch. If we set it to be Halfling Rogue, let's click it again. It says Halfling Rogue lights a torch. Once the Halfling Rogue has a name, Bilbo or whatever, it's going to say Bilbo lights a torch. Shows up in the chat. Just a cute little thing to do. Some people like to emote the things that their characters do. All right, so we're going to... let's set up another macro really quick. This one goes hand in hand with Light Torch. This one is called Snuff. And Snuff is simple. Exclamation point Snuff. Shows token action. Save changes. It now shows up in the now shows up in the corner there next to Light Torch. Light Torch and Snuff. So he can snuff the torch. He can turn out the light. He can light a torch. He can turn it out. As a DM, I can do Control L. These guys all have light sources. Can I select them all? And yeah, let's snuff their lights. Oh no, I gotta do it individually by he doesn't have a light. Who's got a light? Who else had a light here? No. Elf Wizard's got dark vision, so yeah, no, he doesn't have that though here. Dwarf Cleric. Where the hell's that light coming from? Where's that light coming from? Okay, let's do our Halfling Rogue. Let's snuff his light again. And let's do Control L. We can only see what he... Okay, there we go. So the Halfling Rogue is in the dark now. So let's say you're using a dungeon with dynamic lighting, and your character, he can't see shit. He can't see anything. He's blind. He's like, I might walk into a wall. I can't see my friends. They're 20 feet away from me. I'm gonna light a torch. Ta-da! I click one button. It automatically gives him his light source. Like I said, we set that to 40 feet, so he can see. Here's my ruler. He can see. Didn't I set those my geometry? Well, you know, these pages are preset, so it probably doesn't have them in here. Any new page I add is going to have that proper diagonal. So that light goes for 40 feet. It starts getting dim. It starts getting dim at 20. So you see we got the arrow goes at 40 feet. That goes out to what? Yeah, to the end of the end there in Phandelver. 20 feet is right about there. Select. Let's click on our Halfling friend again. Let's do my Control L so I can see what he sees. This is a nifty feature so that if you're setting things up, like I said, the DM can see everything, but if you want to see how your dynamic lighting set up or your lighting situations is set up, you know, you can just select a character that's in the screen you want to see. You can drag someone in there to see it. Hit Control L, you'll see exactly what that person's seeing. So you see the bright light goes to the end, like I said, and he can see dim out to the end. Hooray. So those are my macros. I will make these macros available on something. I'll like probably a geekfightclub.com or .net, whatever my Geek Fight Club is. I think it's geekfightclub.net. There's not really much there now, but I'll tell you what, I will post my macros there so that you can see, so that you have them. Because I mean, I'm showing them to you here. You might want to use them, and you can, because you didn't type it fast. You could always back up, but no, I mean, I'll make them available. Expect to see those macros up on geekfightclub.net within the next couple of days. Write yourself a note, bookmark it or something, and go there in a couple of days. I'll start doing more stuff like this possibly, and then posting stuff on there. You know, I have this website I barely use, so I might as well do something with it, right? All right. So there you go. There's some light. Other cool things the Torch API does. And we'll set up another macro to do it. Now, if you have a slow computer, you might not want to do this. Because if you have enough of these light sources that I'm about to do, well, we'll just modify this light torch here. The Torch API also does flickering, which is pretty nifty. And you just got to change that command to flicker -on. And again, we're just going to leave that. That's that 40 feet is the how far that light goes. It starts getting dim after 20 feet. Yes, other player characters can see it. We'll save this macro. We'll save the macro. Let's add a another. We're just going to call this end flicker. I'm not going to use snuff because unfortunately snuff isn't going to work on the flicker. And we're just going to do flicker -off. So light torch is shown as a token action. Now it's going to flicker. I'll show you that in a second. We're going to make end flicker a token action as well. It's going to be like a secondary snuff. And as I said, if you've got like a slow connection or your computer is not very fast, you might not want to use this. It does tend to bog things down, especially if you have a bunch of flickering light sources. Okay, select our Halfling Rogue. Let's do Control L so we only see what he sees. Let's snuff his torch. So he's in the dark. We're going to light his torch. And now you can see you got a little bit of a flicker effect there. You might not want to do that for their personal torches. The flickering effect is great if you put like if you got like a dark room and you want to put like a couple of candles or torches in there, and you want to set them to flicker to set the mood. The characters walk in, it's a little bit of a flickering light that sets a mood. It'd be kind of cool, right? Now, what I decided to do earlier today, and I haven't set it up yet, but I am going to make a light sources macro, similar to my conditions macro, where it's going to give me all those buttons. Let's pretend. So it'll be a button here that says light sources or illumination, I don't know. And these buttons will show up here with different, I'll probably name them X hyphen whatever the thing is. This way I can set different, whether or not they're going to be flickering, whether it's like a very dim light source that maybe starts at like 5 feet and then goes, you can see like a foot past it or whatever, a big fire. It might just be very bright altogether or very bright light, whatever. I'm going to set up different buttons for different light sources so that I can just select a token, like a campfire token, a torch token, a candle token, someone's ass, whatever, and, set a different condition. This way it's a lot quicker. It's a lot quicker than going in and making those modifications mid-game. See, we still got him flicker in there. You can end that flicker. Put him in the dark. Light the torch. He's back. Another thing I do with the torch API is I set an API for dark vision. Not an API. I set a macro for dark vision. This way, if a character has dark vision, and you want to set up a button just in case like they also light a torch, when they snuff their torch, it's automatically going to snuff their dark vision. So it's nifty to have a little button to reset their dark vision. We just call the button dark vision. And again, we're using the command for torch. 60 is how far characters can see in the dark if they have dark vision. Typically, unless you're special, you might have more. -5. We put -5, that's where it starts getting dim, because dark vision is not necessarily equivalent to bright light. Unless, you're in dim light conditions, and then it is. But typically, if you just got dark vision, you can see about 60 feet. The light's always dim. No, we have set there because the other characters cannot see your dark vision. They can't see you radiating dark vision. We're going to set this as a token action. We're going to save our changes. We now have a dark vision app again. I want this closer to the top where I can see it. I didn't give it one of these Y's or Z's. Z's are for my dice ones. But so I didn't give it Y's or Z's. So let's try the dark vision on this guy here. Let's snuff his torch. Let's snuff his torch. See, my system's bogging down because I got this flicker going on here. Okay. Control L again lets me see only what this guy sees. We want to snuff his torch. Oh no, we want to end flicker. Duh. Okay, we ended flicker. I forgot I did that. No. All right, so let's say he's not a halfling rogue. Um, let's say he's an elf or a dwarf, someone who's got dark vision. I'm going to click my dark vision button. See, and he can now see 60 feet in all directions with his dark vision. Good on him. He can do that. And you'll see there's even things in the API, I believe, where you could actually set it for facing. I don't do that, but you could, where you could set like a cone where that light is going to go out in the cone at like a certain degrees from him, like it shows here. You see in the emit light thing, we're going to use the token for this instead of setting up a new macro for this, because I don't remember what the command is. Because like I said, I don't use it, and I don't want to quit out of the game just to go back and look at the API. But you see, you got that. There's that emits light, 60 feet, -5 because it's dark vision, 360. We got the angle. You could set that to like 90 degrees. Again, we don't have all players see light because they can't see his dark vision. So now you got this, which you could do if you wanted to, depending how in depth you want to get on that shit. And as you turn him, his facing, you can see that. So if you're an evil DM, you could do this with all of your light sources. You could set it so that it's just where they're looking ahead. So that this way, you could have some dude sneak up on him from behind, and he wouldn't know because you don't see it. The character wouldn't see it. Evil DM. All right, so like I said, in the next couple of days, like let's call it Monday. Let's say I'll probably work on it tonight or tomorrow. Go to geekfightclub.net, and I will post the macros as I have them. And remember, if you don't want to use token mod, the token mod API, you don't need to set up your conditions. You can just take that line out, that token mod line out of the conditions. You can take that out. You don't need, well, do you need a Pro or Plus account in order to do lighting? I don't know. I know you need one of those to do dynamic lighting. Oh, let's look at dynamic lighting really quick. Yeah, you need one of those to do dynamic lighting. That's a feature for people who do, who give them money. All right. In your little menu here, if you have access to dynamic lighting, you've got, this is all the layers the DM can see. You can set things so that they're part of the map, background, you can't touch them. Objects, tokens, GM info overlay, that's where if you want to hide something from everybody, they'll see everything on the map and background, and it can't be moved, even by you. So this way you can't accidentally move your map, you can't accidentally move a tombstone while you're trying to do something else. Objects and tokens, obviously, is everything that you going to want to move on the screen, or anything you're going to want to affect with one of those like little cute button macros. GM info hides things from everybody else. Dynamic lighting. Okay, so I had the dynamic lighting set before, and you can go to this right underneath the layer selection. You've got this thing where you can draw shape, polygon line, text, clear drawings, and you can do this on any level. But right now we're doing it on the, I can do this on the map level. I can draw a shape. It changes to a little brush, and I could freehand. I could draw a circle, or I can draw a box. Doesn't even have to be that ugly. It can be, you can go to polygon line, click, click, click. Control Z to back up. I'm getting a little punchy, so I think I'm definitely going to wrap this up in a couple of moments. Listen to me. I'm like, click, click, click. All right, let's go back to the dynamic lighting. When I do dynamic lighting, depending on what I'm drawing, depending on what I'm doing, determines what kind of lines and what color I'm using. If it's a wall, something that is not going to move, I typically go green. I go this like little lime green here, which I think I got like as a tip from another person when I was first learning how to use dynamic lighting. And let's say there's a building here. I'm going to use the dynamic lighting to have a wall that they can't see through. You can't see through the wall. If you hit shift when you're drawing using the polygon line, it says right there, hold shift to snap to grid, control plus Z to undo, right click or escape to complete. I'm going to start at that part of the grid right there. I got my shift key clicked. I'm going to go over here with this green line. I'm going to right click. I see that it got dark over there a little bit. And then I'm going to skip a box and still holding shift. I'm going to draw some more lines. Let's close this off. Let's close off a box. But I got a little hole here. This is a very small room. It's like a little hallway or something. Like I said, these walls are permanent, what I'm using the green for. When I want to do a door, I typically make it this color here, kind of reddish, and I use a large line. And I'm going to start it here, where I got that space, and I'm going to make a little handle. And now you can see I've got this this handle here. Now the reason I make it thicker for a door is because now I can grab it and I can move it. So when someone opens a door, they can, they can enter the room. Because like I said, I won't be able to show you exactly because, again, I'm the DM and I have full power over everything. So I can walk through walls and I can see everything. But if I was a player right now, let's get our halfling rogue that we're picking on here, and let's light him a torch. And we're going to control L so that we can only see what he sees. All right, so you see, now we've got this block here. This is a wall. He can't see through it. If I was actually the player, when I came over here, if I tried to go up any further, I wouldn't be able to because we set it to, what do they call that setting? Basically, we set it so they can't walk through walls. Restrict movement, I think, is what it's called in the settings. Let's take a look at our page settings. Enforce lob of, restrict movement. So let's check restrict movement. A player would have been able to walk through there because that wasn't checked, but now they wouldn't be able to. So we've got them restricted movement. If I was not a DM, he would not be able to. Oh, look at that! No, it works. I can't go any further. Check me out. I'm stuck. There's this wall here. I'm stuck. But if I was actually drawing like a map, I'd show a door there. There'd be like you'd see some of the wall, because usually your walls are thick around the lines, so that that's why I use that thin line so that you can see the walls. The doors are pretty thick, and I put that thick line on top of them, and that lets me, again, the thicker line lets you grab the door. That's not what I wanted to do here. Get back to the map I was on. Okay. So I'm going to go to dynamic lighting. I haven't found a quicker way to do this yet, but so let's say that our halfling rogue, he can see the wall. He can see the door. and he says, all right, I'm going to open the door. Then I would grab, what the hell's going on here? I would grab the door and I'd open it. I'd slide it into the wall or something. You know, I can grab it later and close it if I need to. And I'd say, okay, yeah, you open the door. I control L again. And so now he sees what's on the other side of that door. And he can walk through here. And he can see everything that's on the other side of the wall. And there's more wall there. He can't walk through it because it's a wall. It restricts movement. So there you go. So there's a quick example of dynamic lighting. If you have an account that allows you to use the dynamic lighting, the modules that are already, you know, that are available to buy in. Oh, I should have unclicked my dude. He can't see this because he's not here. So now everything's going to be black to me until I come in here and click the screen to get rid of that Control L. Oh boy. Yeah, things are getting bogged down for me here. All right, let's end flicker. Let's select him and then end flicker. And we'll click on the thing. Okay. Let's pick a here's a map of a hideout. It's loading. Give it a second. Especially because I'm streaming right now. It's my computer's starting to get tired of my shit. It's probably also as bored as anyone who might be watching this is. Let's go to dynamic lighting on this map here. Now they use sticker lines, but you can see they've got their dynamic lighting all set up. Same thing, you know, the color scheme. So I probably got it from someone who does this professionally. As far as the color scheme goes, the doors are red. Everything should be thick enough to see. It's harder to grab the doors here. You can still grab them; they're thick enough to grab. But I like to make them a little thicker so that they're easier to grab. And you can grab the door to open it. Just slide it down, click and drag. Keeps people from seeing or not seeing stuff that they shouldn't be seeing. Let's go back to the object page. We've got this ruffian here. You know, right now as a DM, I see this whole map. If I was this ruffian, oh, let's light him a torch. Today. Let's light him a torch. Control L. All right, so it's not working. What do you want from me? Let's give him some vision here. Oh, because he doesn't have his sight checked. Because as an NPC, as a bad guy, he doesn't need to see, because as a DM, you see everything. I typically like to give them their vision, especially if they have things like dark vision and stuff. This way, I can see, you know, I can get an outline of what they would be seeing. Whether or not like a creature sees your character, you know, your players, could be important. So it's good to set that. All right. So he has sight now. So let's light a torch for him. And let's Control L again. See, so now he can see everything that's in that room, and that's about it. And as you open doors and move around, you know, areas become exposed and unexposed as he moves around. All right, so yeah, so I've set up my main while streaming. I set up my main jams here, my main macros. I will stream again when I'm setting up my dice macros, if anyone even cares about that. Follow me on Twitter at DharmaBob, or just like stay tuned to my Twitch channel, and you'll see when I'm doing something like this again. What did I call it on my Twitch channel? I called it setting up your mom, setting up Roll20 setup. I don't know what I called it. Roll20 setup. So I'll do it again. I'll do Roll20 setup, and if you're interested, you can watch. All right. Thanks for watching, folks. You have a great evening. Peace out. Again, geekfightclub.net. Maybe you'll see some more setup. Well, no, you'll definitely see those macros there. Like I said, by Monday, I'll have those macros in a post for you on geekfightclub.net. Again, follow me at Dharma Bob. Have a good night, folks. Peace out.